Hey everyone, Daniela Warner here with Addo Aesthetics, and today is a very special day because we have Matt Taranto with us. Matt has been in the industry for about 20 years. If you guys are in the Estheticians Connect Facebook group, you have absolutely heard me talk about him. So Matt is the founder and owner of Mint Aesthetics and the AesthetiCare MedSpa in Kansas City. And Mint Aesthetics, which is Matt's consulting company, has worked with over 800 clinics across the United States and Canada. And his MedSpa, AesthetiCare, has experienced double-digit growth every single year for 15 years. So Matt is someone who I consider one of my great mentors in the industry, and he's agreed to chat with us today and share some of his pearls of wisdom. So Matt, thank you so much for being here. And why don't we start with having you share a little bit about how you got in the industry in the first place?
Sure. Thanks, Daniela. I got in this in the mid-90s. My background was product development, and I helped launch microdermabrasion when it came in to the United States from Italy. I really loved the industry, and I opened up a distributorship, and we sold lasers and microdermabrators and things, mainly to plastics and derms back then. And for those of you who are old enough to remember that the lasers were archaic back then. They were huge, the size of Volkswagens and tiny little spot sizes, and we didn't really know what they did, nearly what we know today. After about 6 years of doing that, I realized that if I was going to be very good at recommending equipment, I should use it every day. And so I opened up AesthetiCare MedSpa in 2001 as almost like a business model to be an asset to my distribution group. But what turned out to happen is we were able to grow AesthetiCare at a really rapid rate. And in the last 15 years, we've now grown to be one of the larger aesthetic centers in the country. We went from one nurse and one esthetician to 19 employees. And I really believe we just scratched the surface. We are growing at a great rate. For those of you who have been in the industry for a while, what gives me a lot of optimism is in medical aesthetics, the #1 cosmetic treatment is Botox. But Botox has only been tried by less than 3% of the country. So think about the room for growth that we have. And so I'm really excited. So I spend a lot of my time now consulting. I've worked with over 800 clinics in North America. And we focus on how to do great consultations, phone skills, how to pay employees to encourage them to get busy. A lot of grassroots marketing, events, things like that. And then we're a national training center for Botox, dermal fillers, a lot of lasers. So we try very hard to be an asset in just about every area of non-surgical aesthetics.
Wow, that's fantastic. So I read in, I believe it was an AmSpa article, but it said only 48% of medical spas will be profitable in the coming year. So for you, having worked with over 800 clinics, what do you feel sets the successful spas apart from the not so successful ones?
It's a great question. I will tell you, I believe that number is much lower. I don't think 48%. In fact, I would say it's more in the neighborhood of 20 to 30%. I think some come close to breaking even. What really is different about this industry is it's driven by marketing more than science. And what happens is you have these reps out there who approach these doctors and say, listen, you buy this laser for $100,000, $200,000, and it's going to make you tons of money. That's just not true. You do have to have the right equipment. But what makes a successful, profitable clinic is the staff. And there's 3 things in our industry that will give you a return on your investment. And you've got to do some marketing, and that will give you a return. You've got to buy some good equipment that provides great services and results that are good enough to drive referrals. But the biggest thing is your staff. And I promise you, 80% of all the clinics I've worked with are undertrained, and most dramatically undertrained. The reason we have been so successful, without a doubt, I would love to say it's me, it's all me, but it's not. It's one thing I'm very proud of is we've put together a staff of 19 people that truly act as a family. We get along. We do not tolerate any backstabbing, any negativity. If you're going to work here, this is going to be an amazing place to work.
And
I want people
I can vouch for that.
Work. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, Daniela worked here at AesthetiCare, and I will tell you, not to embarrass her, but literally the best esthetician I can ever imagine. And when she got engaged and got married, I still hate her husband for moving away. No, I mean, truly an amazing esthetician. But that's the key, is people like you. It's people who have a passion for what they do. Think about in your personal life, who do you love doing business with? And for me, it's very easy. I love doing business with people who love their job, and you can tell they're dedicated and they're just hell-bent on giving amazing service. And I always talk about Nordstrom's and offering that Nordstrom's level of service, or Ritz-Carlton, or Disney. We have a lot of competition. There are 50 med spas in a 15-mile radius of my clinic. And I'm not saying this to brag. We're better than all of them. And that's just a fact. We do more revenue. We're a bigger clinic. But the reason is all we do is focus on how we treat people, how we provide a level of customer service that's just better than what most people are willing to provide. So that, to me, is the key to success, Danielle, and the key to being profitable is investing in a staff. I personally spend $40,000 every year in training for my staff. And keep in mind, I have 4 nurses who have over 50 years experience in aesthetics, 4 estheticians who have 55 years experience in aesthetics. So it's a very well-trained staff, but we're never going to stop learning. I never want them to feel like, oh, I'm as good as I can be. Sorry about that. I'm as good as I can be. I want us to always be growing. And I think that's just critical to success.
That's something that I love about this industry, is that you never can know everything. There's always something new to learn. There's always, was it in 2002 that Botox was FDA approved?
It's incredible. And think about this. Botox was only FDA approved for the glabella for years. We use it in the forehead and crow's feet, but there's so many devices that come out that, to be honest, just don't work. In fact, I believe 60 to 70% of everything in our industry is snake oil. So one of the first things you've got to do is you've got to make sure your menu of services is made up of things that actually perform well. The other thing that I think is so important, and Danielle, you know this well, is being very good at articulating the proper expectations that they should have from a treatment. You don't just say to somebody, oh, do that one treatment, you're going to look 20 years younger. It doesn't work that way. And what we try to do is we really look at skincare like you look at exercise. I would love to go to the gym and work out for a month, really hard and dedicated, and then be in great shape the rest of the year and not have to do anything. But it doesn't work that way. So we really talk about skin fitness and looking at skin and thinking of it is an organ, we know that, but we don't think of it as our heart and our lungs. But we think of taking care of our heart. Let's think of our skin that way and be on a program, because we want our clients to look at us as their lifelong anti-aging consultants. And so we strive very hard to, we have a motto here that we like. We sell through education. Because keep in mind, nobody needs what we do. You need to eat, you need to sleep. You do not need Botox. That is a want. So if we teach well and we really articulate the services well, set proper expectations, and Daniela, you were the best I ever saw at this, follow up well. Thank you notes, text messages, birthday cards, just little emails to check in. You truly are the best I've ever seen at that, and it makes a huge difference.
It does, because so much of what we do, these patients, they're coming in and they're very vulnerable because they're telling you what they don't like about themselves. And so we have to be professional and share the information, but we also have to be compassionate and accepting. And I think that comes, you get that trust of people, when you build that relationship, and that is from start to finish. So just like you were talking about with the consultation process and the education, to performing a great treatment, to then the following up and making sure that you're taking care of them and not just grabbing their business and then sending them on their way.
Well, exactly. And I think, when I hire a new esthetician, I tell them, and I'm very blunt, I say, listen, if a year from now you work here and you're not busy, it's your fault. We're going to give you all the tools. We have a great menu of services, and we're going to do our best to train you well. But as you know, Daniela, it's a lot of the individual saying, you know what, I'm going to take control of my clients. I am going to, and I don't mean this to sound weird, I'm going to own them. Okay, I'm going to own them in a good way.
I would say, think like an entrepreneur. You have to. You are your own business.
It's a business within a business, and if you can outwork, listen, it would be a great goal to say, I want the best med spa in the world. More power to you. I would love that. But I know I'm going to have the best med spa in my geographic area. And I've got to have a staff of estheticians and nurses who are on board with that idea that we are not going to be out-niced. We are not going to be outworked. Now, it doesn't mean you have to spend more money, because think of this. Customer service is free. That's a choice that you make. And I will tell you, if you can get to the point, and one of my passions is teaching consultations, if you can get to the point where you can do a consultation that results in that person walking out saying, my God, if I'm doing anything in aesthetics, I'm doing it there. That person was awesome. They knew what they were talking about. They were passionate. They didn't push me, but I really understand they understood what my issues were, and they explained it well, and they were fun. I mean, let's make this fun. We are not curing cancer. This is not medicine. And you know what? We're also not digging ditches or installing commercial air conditioning components, things that are kind of boring. This is fun. Let's make it fun. Let's have people want to hang out here because the atmosphere is fun. I mean, I think that's just so important because I know in my personal life when I'm doing business with other places and I see people who are excited about what they're doing, I'm doing business with them.
It's contagious. It's contagious. That passion and that excitement, it definitely is. And when you walk into, one thing that just drives me nuts is if you walk into a med spa or like a cosmetic dermatology office, the physician is, an hour late and everybody's stressed out. And it's like, do you really want to get your treatment there and spend thousands of dollars with somewhere that's rushing you and everybody's stressed out?
And you're exactly right. It's perfectly acceptable if I go to my internal medicine doctor and I have to wait for a half hour. I don't like it, but it's kind of accepted, or it's kind of expected. This is a retail business, and I tell everybody, listen, it's no different than a car dealership or a jewelry store or a clothing store. We are asking people to come in. There's no insurance, whip out a credit card or cash, pay us a fairly significant amount of money. And if we want to get their business back, because believe me, there's tons of competition, they better leave being thoroughly impressed. And again, that's an attitude. And that starts really at the front desk. You've got to have a front desk that is friendly and engages them in conversation and offers them a drink and really kind of becomes their friends. I love when I hear from my clients that I love the fact that your front desk remembers my name. I mean, that's just a nice compliment. And the other thing that I hear that is my favorite compliment that we get is people say, you guys are so thorough. I love hearing that. I love hearing that they think that we have put out the effort and we've studied and we've been trained, that they look at us as being, man, they're thorough. And I think
they feel taken care of. They feel taken care of, and that's what you want, that's, yeah.
Well, I remember, when you worked here, it was really interesting. I remember a conversation I had with one of your clients, and it was a woman whose daughter had acne. And it was really interesting. I don't know if I ever told you this. She said, I will never go anywhere else. Daniela cares so much for, I think it was a daughter, I can't remember. And she said, I'm just never going anywhere else. And that I use you as an example. I tell people, listen, that's what you have to create. Because when you do that, the only outcome is you're going to get really busy. And as we know in this industry, because most people work on commission, if you get really busy, you're going to make a lot of money. I have 2 of my estheticians this year that made 6 figures. I mean, that's really good for an esthetician, as you know. They're busy. They treat people incredibly well. I have a nurse here who made $150,000 this year in aesthetics. Now, it didn't happen on accident.
It's very possible, and that's why, what I'm trying to do with my business is because the average esthetician, if you look at the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, makes $30,000 a year. And you have the ability to make 6 figures if that's something that you want. The potential is there. If you have the knowledge and the passion, you absolutely can do it. And
yeah, it really stems from an individual desire to be great. And I tell my staff all the time, as a staff, we meet twice a month for 1 hour, and we do it religiously. And I think that's very important because almost all we talk about is how can we better serve people? What can we do to make this place better? Because I always want that attitude of improvement, that we're always growing and moving forward. But we talk all the time about saying to the staff, say, listen, you need to personally set a goal. You need to decide, where do you want to be in your career? And then we sit down once a year and we set out a plan. How are we going to achieve that goal? And what do you do individually to do that? And I'm telling you, when you focus, I'm a big believer in goal setting. I think you need goals. And as you know, Danielle, we have goals almost every month here. We just hit our goal in December, and everyone gets their house cleaned or their car detailed. That's their gift.
I love that, yeah.
And we do kind of silly things like that. But I want targets, and I want my staff to always look at the numbers and say, okay, how do we get there? And then let's make a plan to get there, and it really does work well.
Oh, it does. It does. Well, this is so much information. I think that the Auto Aesthetics community is going to be just thrilled. I'm going to post links below the video, so if anybody wants to learn more about AesthetiCare, and if you want to learn about Mint Aesthetics and how you can work with Matt and his training center, the links will be listed below. And Matt, I thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us and share so much of your knowledge and these little pearls of wisdom. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I can't tell you, I'm so impressed with the job you're doing. It's so much fun to be a part of this community now. You're doing a great job, and it's something that I really think was needed here. So congrats to you, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you.